All right, so you thought bugs were bad, all right? You've probably seen videos recently, and I've talked about this months ago, how on the World Economics own forum website, World Economic Forum website, their own website, they have ideas and plans to push bugs as a food source, all right? So you thought that was bad, and there's been a bunch of videos on it. There's a great video from, I'm pretty sure it's Alaskan Prepper. I saw it like last month. Great video from him. He broke down how there's cricket powder and all this food that we're eating, all these different things already have bugs inside of it. All right, so you thought that was bad. This is the next level. All right, this is even worse. This is on the level of cannibalism. This is human consumption of body parts, essentially. Okay, and if you haven't seen what happened, all right, I'm sorry about this. I'm just like shook up because this is so dystopian. All right, so California, and I'm feeling a little sick today, so bear with me, guys. I started feeling not good last night, and today's a lot worse, so stick with me. But all right, California has legalized human composting, and you might be like, okay, well, that's not that big of a deal. A couple other states have already done this, like literally Colorado, okay, the state I'm in, and Oregon has done this, but they have different restrictions on it. They do not allow it to be used for food. It cannot contaminate the environment. It's kind of like you can compost yourself and put it in like an urn or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like that level. But this is mass human composting that can be used for food and fertilizer as being legalized in California, okay? And California is a massive food producer. All right, they account for a giant percentage of all of our fruits and vegetables, okay? So these are going to be things growing in this compost, in this human compost. So once again, this is being legalized on the idea for climate change, that it's good for the environment. But the way they're going to do it is put human bodies, 12 humans, inside of a giant tumbler, essentially a steel tumbler with wood chips and flowers, okay? This is so dystopian. And they're just going to tumble you for a couple years and let your body decompose, and then they're going to dump it into our food system, all right? This is insane and dystopian. And if you really think about it, composting creates methane gas. Composting creates CO2, burying people under the earth. That gas is not released into the environment, is not released into the air. But if you're composting on top of the earth, that gas gets released, okay? When organisms break down your body, they eat your body down, essentially, little bacteria, microorganisms, and they defecate out methane gas and CO2 to break your body down. Okay, so how is this actually going to help the environment? This just seems dystopian. And did we forget what mad cow disease is? All right, so if you don't remember, this was a huge thing, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It was all in the news. This was a big thing. And it came from cows eating contaminated feed that had other cows in it, okay? So they were essentially allowing the cows to cannibalize themselves, and they started getting mad cow disease, which is a blood prion disease, a tissue prion disease. It gets in your blood. Sounds a little familiar. It's a prion disease, and it can pass from the meat from your steak to humans. All right, so what's to say that pathogens and prions couldn't be uptaken by the plants that did not get fully composted? Okay, prions are not microorganisms. They're not alive, so they take a very long time to break down. And I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but if you've heard anything about prions recently, think about that, but now it's all being added to our food system as well, all right? So this is extremely dystopian, and our food system's already at such a, honestly, it's kind of a gross level, okay? And I get that we are a massive country with massive amounts of people to feed, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do to feed people, okay? But this is something you probably didn't know. You probably didn't know that feedlots where cows are, okay, they stopped feeding them cow waste, all right, because they were mixing in just like cow waste from the slaughter into their feed and feeding it back to the cows. But they feed them chicken bedding and chicken litter, okay? So if you've ever seen those massive chicken broiler houses or whatever they are, egg laying houses, sometimes they're broilers, then they stink when you drive by them. They're really long, and those, most of the time, those are chicken houses, all right? And the bedding that they use is normally like wood chips or like pine shavings beddings or like paper products, okay? It's stuff along those lines. And it's literally just like wood. It's literally just like wood shavings and stuff like that you can buy for like your hamster or whatever at the pet store, like some pine shavings, okay? And the chickens defecate all over it, go to the bathroom all over it, and once they clear it out, once it's so gross for the chicken house, they feed it to cows, all right? I'm serious. This is a real thing. This is an industrialized practice that happens all over the world and all over the United States for sure, okay? So they're feeding cows literally chicken litter, which is just like wood shavings and chicken poop, and they're like, oh, well, there's nutrients in the chicken poop, all this stuff. I mean, yeah, it could work, but it's just like, when's the line? This is dystopian. They're ruining our food system, okay? This is like Soylent Green type stuff, all right? If you've ever seen that movie where it's like the food gets so scarce, everything is so dystopian that the solution becomes to eat humans, okay? Because we can't feed ourselves anymore. Our systems don't work anymore. Our economies don't work anymore. People can't afford to live and survive. So in Soylent Green, the government comes and scoops people up and puts them in a dump truck essentially, and then you're processed into food and you're given out as a food ration to the other people. Okay? So essentially, when do we get to that point? We are almost there. We are going to use human remains in our compost. And if you know anything about composting for your own stuff, you don't put meat in it. You don't put any meat in your compost. You try to make your compost all plant matter based, and like trash based, like wood trash, yeah, and like cardboard, stuff like that, paper products, okay? You try to make it all plant based. You normally don't even put any meat into a compost pile, all right? And now we're going to put human remains and put it on our fields and feed it to people. This is what they do in China, all right? Go look up midnight soil in China, and you might already have a guess of what it is just from the name, all right? They use human sludge and human waste on their crop fields in China, okay? We already use animal waste and animal sludge from feedlots, which eat this chicken bedding, all this stuff, which is already questionable, but it probably needs to be done, okay? And this is coming from, I used to do farmers markets, all right, for years. I did farmers markets for years and years, and so I love this stuff, right? I love farmers, I love farming, but there's a lot of issues, all right? There's a lot of stuff going on that shouldn't be happening, okay? So let me know what you guys think, all right? This stuff's just dystopian and gross, and I think we should reject this, because this is just, it's desecration of humans as well. Like, this is just not what we're supposed to do to each other. So let me know what you guys think, and you have a big old blessed day.